I'm going to do a single mother by choice in review 6 years later. So I say 6 years later because Ava will be 5 next month. But I say 6 years later because actually I should say like 7 or 8 years later, because the thought of having a child came well before the pregnancy. I went through a lot of ups and downs of fertility and all that went through that. I have to say though, now looking back, hindsight being 2020, I was very naive. I was naive to the struggle. I was naive to the social life differences. I was naive to things that could go wrong or whatever. Do I regret it? I do not regret it. I do not regret having my child. She is the light of my life. She is all she can be. But when I say I was negligently ignorant, okay, so let's start from fresh, right? I'm a black woman who grew up in the inner city of Boston. So I know a lot of people who've had kids young, who've had a bunch of kids in there by themselves. So I didn't really put that together with my life, okay? I thought, well, if I had kids, I'd do all right. But I lived a lot of my life single with no kids. I was in and out of relationships. Some lasted a year or 2 or 6 months or whatever. And so when I say single, I mean not married. And doing my own thing. My only responsibility was to myself. I have a college degree, so I've not always, mostly been gainfully employed. So I never had those issues. So I was the one who always like helped people opposed to them helping me. So I have to say, I was talking, this was years ago, I was talking to a friend, when I was going through the fertility process. And when I'm going through something, I tell all my friends about it and try to get them into it or whatever. And I actually got several people on board. They didn't have babies, but several people on board with the thought of having babies. And one girl said, well, I don't really have a support system. And what if my child has autism? I'm thinking, that went over my head, like over my head. I didn't even think or anticipate or put in my brain power that my child could have a disability, which I don't think any regular mother would. But in the sense of doing it by myself, the fact that she said those words and I just didn't heed them, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'll be fine, and I just trudged on. So when I got pregnant, especially with a girl, I did not expect autism. Like, autism's for boys. It hits boys 4 times as much. I didn't even know about any girls who had autism. I had a cousin's son who had autism. Actually, a couple cousins' children had autism, but they were all boys. And I didn't even put that in effect. But the funny thing is, other things could have went wrong too. Like, my birth was not easy. I was worried then that she wasn't gonna make it. Or I wasn't gonna make it. So now looking back, I feel like I was ignorant to the possibilities of things going wrong and always assuming everything would go right. The choice to leave Atlanta was the best choice. And I say that because when I was in Atlanta, I had a lot of friends. I miss my friends. I had so many cool girlfriends and they didn't even know each other. Like, at my baby shower, like, everybody didn't know each other because I had so many groups of friends that I met in various places, usually jobs. I had a lot of freaking jobs, which is another story. But if you want to know about my chronic changing of jobs, I will let you know about that. But anyways, I had a lot of friends, a lot of different type of friends, a lot of people I could hang with, especially there was several that I hung real tough. And the reason I left was because even though I had more friends in Atlanta than I have family here, most of them are single with no kids. So I couldn't really use them in the sense of my needs if I needed a babysitter or if I needed someone to pick up and drop off or whatever. I couldn't really depend on them in that way, and I wouldn't expect to. I had one friend who was married, and then in Atlanta, everybody lives so far away from everybody else. So I lived in Decatur. I had a couple friends in Decatur, a neighbor, you know, and because I made friends with my neighbors in my subdivision, and I had a friend who lived like down the street. She don't live there anymore, like River Road. So I lived off Flat Shoals Parkway, and she lived like a couple streets back off River Road. I met her at Gold's Gym when I started working out, and we've been thick as thieves. She came to visit me. If you want to look at that video, she came to visit Boston and visit me. So we were friends. She didn't have any kids either. And then the rest of my friends were all over the freaking place. One was in Marietta. My cousin was in Conyers. Gwinnett. So later on in my journey, after I sold my house, I ended up moving to Gwinnett. And I had friends in Gwinnett, but also living their own lives. They were married, but they didn't have any kids. And you know, I just felt family it's not an obligation for family to help you with your kids. So my mom, I'm an only child. So Ava is her only grandchild, right? Let me fix my shirt. Ava's her only grandchild. My mother is all about Ava, okay? And I pay her to put Ava on the transportation, take Ava off the transportation, and all this stuff until I get home, which I don't know, especially with the lane of traffic or whatever, or if Ava, you know, I still have the same child, Ava having a disability in Georgia just wouldn't work out for me, you know what I mean? Like the daycare and everything that goes with it. So moving to Massachusetts was the best choice for a lot of reasons, especially the services. So not knowing, I moved here when Ava was 2 months old, that she would need services. But the fact is I'm in Massachusetts and the services, I'm in Boston. Let me preface that, because these other little far towns in Massachusetts don't all have great services either. There's long waiting lists and stuff like that. I'm in the city of Boston. So we have all these freaking colleges with these young people that are graduating to service, because you know the social service industry is usually full with the young until they realize they can't make no money at it, and then they move on or they get more education to do something else. So the services here are unbelievable, and I really feel that I wouldn't have gotten those services or fulfilled Ava's needs in Atlanta. There are things I regret or things I miss. I miss my friends. I miss my social life. I miss a lot of those things. Would I give them up for my child? No. I would not trade them to go backwards for... I would not go backwards for not to have Ava. And not to look like 5 years later, she'll be 5. This month, she'll be 5. That I was not prepared for how things turned out. And that's obvious because I've gained a lot of weight. I gained a lot of weight with the stress of being a single mom. Yeah, that's her screaming. She's with the ABA therapist / babysitter. So, got interrupted. So I would say that I wasn't prepared. I really had rose-colored glasses on everything, which I feel now that I should have. I don't know. Like if I had went total negative mode, Ava might not be here. So I don't know what to say on that. Looking back, I don't know if I could have dealt with this any better than the way I've dealt with it. Me and my mother haven't always had the greatest relationship, but presently we are working it out. She is a great grandma. She is a great nana. And Ava is her best friend. Like, I am not top dog up in here. Ava and my mother are best friends. I am second. And I don't mind being second because my grandmother was my best friend too. Either way, so single mother by choice, what people don't tend to understand is most people who are single mother by choice, I'd say about 80-90%, it's plan B, not plan A. Like, do I wish I had a spouse or a partner that I could do this with that would be just as into Ava and what she needs and, you know, freeing up my time to hang with my friends or whatever? Of course, I did. I did not set out 20 years ago. I'm like, oh, I want to be a single mother by choice. I thought I would be married with a couple kids. Now, it didn't work out that way. It just didn't. And my eggs were getting old. Like, I still want another baby, and I am 44 years old. So I don't know how realistic that is, or maybe my next stop would be adoption. But it's all monetary. Like, if I had money, I would be getting fertility treatments right now to have another baby, but I do not. I am not independently wealthy. If I did choose to do that, that would only take away from Ava. And I'm not about that, you know, having a child just to take away from another child. And I don't know, now that I'm fully versed in what could possibly happen, anything's possible. It's, you know, there's no guarantee I'll get a healthy child, so I don't think I could do with 2 special needs children by myself without financial backing to help me with a nanny or something in that string. So if I win the lottery or some money comes in my life or my book just happens to hit off, we might be having a different conversation. I might be working on baby number 2, but right now with Ava's needs and me being a single mom, it's not gonna happen. I just have to be realistic. My mother's, you know, a senior citizen, and I don't think she could do 2 either. And that's my help, my total help. That's it. Like, comment, subscribe. Holla back.